Welcome to Maverick Workshop. In this video, I'm going to show you my process of making a kitless fountain pen. Let's get started. Here's a closer look at all the tools that I am going to be using. This will be for the section, and this will be for the cap and the body. And these are the two blanks that we're going to be using for this pen. Here is the approximate length for the section, cap, and the barrel. And that we've cut them already into pieces, and starting with the section, we're going to have a tenon that is marked at about the 5 to 7 millimeter point, and the grip portion is already marked out as well. The one line there I am trimming to make sure that the tenon is the size that it needs to be as far as the length goes. And then I'll take a 7 millimeter drill bit, and I will use the 7 millimeter drill bit and drill all the way through to the other side. And this is just creating that space for the JoWo number 6 nib housing. I push the tailstock to sometimes expedite that process just a little bit. And then I'll take a 9/32 drill bit and then go in about 5 to 7 millimeters again. And that is just to create a little bit of a recess for the converter. And then the next thing I do is I'll take the plug cutter. You can either use a 3/8 inch plug cutter, or you can use a 10 millimeter plug cutter. And that just gets you in the ballpark of the size of what the tenon needs to be. I'm just using the metal lathe to fine tune the last little bit. And then you'll want to stop and get a little measurement and see how we're looking. It was a 9.8, and my target here is about 9.75 to 9.85 or so millimeters. And then what I'm doing is I'm just taking it down just a little bit more and giving a nice little bevel and chamfer for the die to start onto the pin, or on the back of the tenon, to create the threads. So this is a Morse Taper 2 die holder, tailstock die holder. So I'll make contact, and then I'll get the die set on the tenon, and then I will turn the lathe on and have it run forward and then run backwards. And then it's time to move on to the next step of this. One thing that I like to do is kind of bevel that so it starts easier into the body or the barrel of the pen. It just makes it a little nicer for the start and for it to catch nicely. And this is the kind of a parting tool. I've got the manual one as well that I use. But this is just to create a little bit of a relief on the base of the threads there for when it seats into the body. Because you can do it on the body as well, where you create like a little bevel that will accommodate for that one part of the tenon there. And then if you know that your blank is flat and round, then you can go ahead and proceed this way. If not, you could use a mandrel for this part, because you know that you drilled a hole right through. You should be good to go. So the next drill bit that I'm using here is for the housing to open up a little space before the threads. And I'm using a 5/16 drill bit in order to do that. And I'll drill right into the front of it. And what I'm kind of doing is creating like a stair step on the inside of the section here. So different areas of the inside have to be kind of mirror image of what the JoWo housing is. So opening it up just a little bit more for the flare, as well as that little bit of a shoulder. I'm going to be using a 23/64" drill bit for that part. So you can see where the stop collar was. And this is just to make sure that the nib fits flush. The nib housing fits flush with the top of the section there. And this is just to create one more little step for just that tiny little flare of plastic that comes out of the end. So from here, we need to go ahead and thread it. And this is a tap that is a M7.4-5. And it is specifically for a JoWo number 6 housing. And I'll run the carriage, or I'll run the headstock just to thread it, and then have a little bit of pressure on the drawback when you're pulling the tailstock out, letting it run backwards. And then always want to make sure that you test fit and see if you need to make any adjustments. And then from the very beginning, when we use the other drill bit to create that little bit more, that is to facilitate the Schmidt converter